The Berkshire Regional Arts Integration Network is a collaboration between the North Adams Public Schools, the Arts Management Program at the Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts, and the county-wide Berkshire Compact for Education. The initiative offers professional development and support to Berkshire County educators to help them integrate the arts to engage all students and enrich academic offerings. Lisa Donovan is a professor of arts management at MCLA and the co-director of the Berkshire Regional Arts Integration Network, also known as BRAIN, and she spoke with me about the program.
I really wanted to capitalize on the incredible assets that we have here in Berkshire County, and to really align the efforts that were already happening with schools to just make a regional impact.
Yeah, because there are arts education programs that are run kind of individually, popcorn style. I know Jacob's Pillow has a really strong connection to the Pittsfield community and working sort of in reach in some of the Pittsfield public schools and also getting students there to the campus. Many examples of it. But when you specifically started looking at how arts education works in rural regions, what were some of the things that you started to learn?
Well, the first thing we did was to take a look at the literature for rural areas to see if we could find models for arts education in rural areas. And that was supported by a National Endowment for the Arts grant. And we found very little, actually. So we did a series of interviews and came up with a report called Leveraging Change, Increasing Access to Arts Education in Rural Areas, and basically found that rural areas tend to share the same challenges, things like geographic spread, lack of funding, economic disparities. But the promising practices that we found, things like networks and arts integration, those only took root when people paid close attention to their unique context. So we really started to say, what do we have here in the Berkshires? And we have an incredible mosaic of arts organizations.
Yeah, countywide, so many of them and so many different types, whether it's visual, performing arts. So something there that maybe a child isn't so interested in the visual arts, they just can't sit still, not interested in spending that time in the museum, but they might really connect with music. But for you, when you noticed some of those, the barriers, poverty in general, or poverty in particular, stood out to me. When you look at poverty through the lens of arts education, how does that impact the ability to provide that to a student?
Well, one of the things that I had done research prior when I was at Lesley, and one of the findings of how teachers saw the relevance of arts integration was that it provided multiple points of access for diverse learners. And so if you have a kid who doesn't come to school with a lot of background knowledge, the arts can actually fill that gap. There's been research there. Teachers noted that when you introduce the arts across the curriculum, it leads to deep learning. And by that, I mean a sense of ownership, a sense of relevance, more time on task, and just general engagement.
I want to zoom out for a second because one of the things that stood out to me in a piece that you recently wrote, an opinion piece, was that when you started your research looking at rural communities and the arts, there wasn't even necessarily agreed upon definition of the word rural. So for your research purposes, how are you defining it?
For me, it really is about, it's a broad definition. Some people define it geographically, others by statistics and how many people in an area. I think the Berkshires, people don't often think of us as rural because we have Pittsfield as sort of a city center, and we have a lot here. I really define it by the challenges, right? That geographic spread. We have North County, Central County, and South County, and all of the other challenges for rural areas. So that's where I sort of feel like there's still not a clear definition, but because we mirror those shared challenges, it's been a really useful frame to kind of to look at our region.
Yeah. On the other side of that, looking at the opportunities, what's one or two that really kind of bubble up to the top and stand out for you?
Well, the biggest is really the alignment opportunities here. You know, I had worked in a number of arts organizations that are in the county, and so had a lot of networked relationships. There's a lot of amazing work happening, as you mentioned earlier, that you know, almost every arts organization is partnering with the schools in some way, shape, or form. But what wasn't happening, from my perspective, was a sense of regional lift. And by that I mean that if we start to think about where are we as a region, what are our regional needs, and start to align the offerings that we all have, we'll be able to not only use the arts as a strategy for regional growth, but we can start to share services, share resources as well. So it's really kind of working together for a larger impact.
And in 2018, one of the ways that larger impact started to take shape, as I understand it, is through the BRAIN network, the Berkshire Regional Arts Integration Network, known as BRAIN. Can you talk about what that is and what the goal is?
Yeah, so BRAINworks, the Berkshire Regional Arts Integration Network, is a 4-year grant from the National Department of Education. And it focuses on 4 Title I districts in the area. But we've opened it up to educators across the region. And what we're doing is it's offering arts integration training. Right now, we've worked with 52 teachers across Berkshire County. We have 12 arts partners, and teachers really immerse themselves in learning about arts integration. They design arts integrated lessons. They collect evidence of learning. So it's partly improving their own practice and efficacy. But there too, it's about sharing ideas across the county as well, and inviting teachers to think about the rich cultural assets that we have here, and how to connect to them more deeply with their curriculum.
Now, with COVID-19 happening and so many of those arts institutions closed or significantly downsized, not a lot of clarity on when they may reopen or what it's going to look like when they do, how is this program impacted by that?
It's a great question. For as many challenges as COVID has created, it's also created opportunities, and we're really seeing arts organizations around the county stepping up with online digital programming. So we've just launched a BCAN Connects, Berkshire Cultural Asset Network Connects, where we were sharing, highlighting things that arts organizations were offering for families, who are home with their kids, and educational opportunities through the arts. We've been offering online workshops through Zoom for our BRAINworks teachers. The Norman Rockwell Museum just provided an incredible introduction to an exhibit that they have, and then we did collage together online. We've done an online workshop with the Clark and Barrington Stage, and found that you can do theater online. It's quite fascinating.
Not shocking to hear that such creative people are being creative in the midst of all of this.
Yeah.
What are the next steps for you in the process?
Well, we're happy to announce that we have received a 3rd National Endowment for the Arts grant. It's a $100,000 grant, which will allow us to have MCLA serve as a backbone organization. So Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts is the right place to be the backbone. Being a small college, capacity is an issue. And so this grant will allow us to hire a creative compact coordinator that will help to keep our blueprint, to document the impact of our blueprint for arts integration and education, to collect and analyze data, to manage the website, and also to launch a podcast series that will link our college students with area high school students, really looking at the impact of creativity across sectors. So a lot of the work we're doing is really across sectors.